Welcome back, people, to Radio Nuts. This is RJ, what's up? And with me I have...
A rather unfortunate named RJ Gabbar. I am gonna keep saying that until they change my name.
Well, coming back to the events of Kharagpur, we have a very good thing called DC++, yes? With all its infinite sharing, you get to watch a lot of stuff. And in that stuff, we're going to bring you back to this culture of this week, the latest of this week, the most hip-hop and happening of this week, everybody. RJ Gabbar, up to you.
Yes. So all of us here at Kharagpur are big movie maniacs. And two of the films which we thought are worth mentioning this week are Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie adaptation of Conan Doyle's immortal classic. And from the more desi front, we have Raat Gayi Baat Gayi, which is the directorial debut of Saurabh Shukla.
Well, Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure all of us have heard about the Hound of Baskerville. Sherlock Holmes' big pipe with his hat and his long trench coat. This time, it's bigger, better, and with the best actor can possibly pull it off, Robert Downey Jr. himself.
Yes, Downey Jr. puts a whole different spin on the character of Sherlock Holmes. And I remember when the pre-production process of the film was going on, and Guy Ritchie was being asked a lot of questions about how he actually meant to portray Holmes visually, and he made this little comment about, I can think of only one person in the history of mankind who has ever wore a deerstalker hat. Yes, so our Holmes here is leaner, fitter. He concentrates on things like boxing, and he gets into brawls, he gets drunk. This is, on the whole, a more believable, a more human Holmes, in my opinion.
Well, there are certain points in the movie where he has to think about stuff, and that expression of his when he just thinks about it. Perfect Hollywood, perfect portrayal of Sherlock Holmes. His mind, his actions, the way he moves, the way they portray the slow motion and then the actual scene after that. Perfect. No problems in it, no imitations, nothing. Pull it off straight, the best way they could. Guy Ritchie's done a wonderful job.
Yeah, most of us identify Guy Ritchie with all these crazy heist films like Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. But this time, I believe he has delivered a tighter, a more mature product. And most of the credit goes in fact to the bonding between the two main characters. Dr. Watson, played impeccably by Jude Law, and he complements Downey Jr. perfectly. The chemistry is apparent, the jokes really hit home, and Holmes, for his part, is in a completely different avatar. And Irene Adler, the character of Irene Adler. Now this is one of the most intriguing characters in the books. Holmes always referred to Adler as the woman he couldn't outsmart, the woman he always held in esteem. He always kept a photograph and so on. In this film, Irene Adler is a femme fatale. She is a master criminal whom Holmes has more than a little crush on, and she is played by Rachel McAdams. Downey Jr. and McAdams, despite the difference in their age, I mean, Downey Jr. has been on the circuit for a long time, but still, the two look wonderful on the screen. They have a few hilarious sequences, and all in all, this is a very Hollywood product, yet mature.
The little things that Sherlock Holmes pays attention to is, especially when Jude Law introduces his to-be wife. What's her name again?
Mary Morstan.
The to-be wife of Jude Law. What a beautiful portrayal in that restaurant. The way she throws the wine at his face was just... Everything leading up to that was beautiful. It was totally called for. Everything portrayed Sherlock Holmes the way it was, the way he was created to portray it.
Yeah, there have been a lot of complaints about how Guy Ritchie did not in fact stick to Conan Doyle's original vision and how he has almost murdered one of literature's biggest creations. You know, what I feel is, this film is an original work. You know, if it weren't for the fact that it's in fact based on Holmes, no one would have paid attention to these small details. But the thing while you're making a literary adaptation is, you have to give the audience something different. I mean, if you had Holmes poking cocaine syringes in his veins every now and then, if you had him playing the violin, I mean, these things are characteristic of Holmes, but using these things would have made the film more predictable and I guess more boring.
Well, in the end, the esteemed ending of Sherlock Holmes, where he stops and he says, Clarky, case reopened. Perfect ending to a perfect movie, shows that there could be a sequel, and if there is a sequel, I am quite sure Guy Ritchie is going to pull it off well. What do you say, Gabbar?
Yeah, in fact, the ending reminded me of Batman Begins, how it ended, the hint of Joker in the sequel, and look how that turned out. And in the end, Holmes gets to know about Professor Moriarty. And let me tell you, the rumor mills are abuzz with the fact that Brad Pitt might be approached to play Professor Moriarty in the sequel. And if that happens, we could be in for a real treat.
Well, coming to the Bollywood front of movie reviews, we have the latest Bollywood movie, Raat Gai Baat Gai, directed by Saurabh Shukla. Who was the actor in that movie? Satya, and the short fat guy.
Mama, tell mama.
Yeah, that's the one. Well, the film also stars Rajat Kapoor, Vinay Pathak and Neha Dupia. Gabbar, on to you.
Yeah, so Raat Gai Baat Gai, which was a very anticipated film, given that the director Saurabh Shukla co-wrote films like Satya and Mithya, which was directed by Rajat Kapoor. And Saurabh Shukla, writing about this film when this film had not released, said that it had been in the making for as long as 7 years. Yeah, that's right, 7 years, and from the initial script draft to the final release. Well, Raat Gai Baat Gai is a very Woody Allen kind of an urban comedy which centers on the consequences of what might or might not have been a one-night stand between the two central characters. And for me, where the film's course is, the delightful air of uncertainty whenever Neha Dupia confronts Rajat Kapoor's character about what actually happened that night. And she plays the cunning vixen character to perfection. And as we all know, Rajat Kapoor, veteran of the multiplex films,